Hello, YouTube. This is Mahadeva, the Thunder Wizard. This is the first live stream I've done in 2.5 years where I've been on United States soil. So I'm obviously back from Australia. I escaped, and I think I escaped just in time based on what I'm hearing and seeing about what's going on there. So today, what are we going to be talking about? I'm going to be talking to you about what we can do to destroy, to defeat the reptilian mind control operation that is in full swing, that is successfully overrunning the vast majority of people on planet Earth. They're being completely controlled in terms of their thoughts. And so in order to understand that, we have to look at the difference between the intellect and the mind. So when we use the word mind control in modern times, we're really talking about control of the intellect, which means that human beings have lost their most powerful interaction, which is through their spirit, through their energy, through their soul, and that is done through the heart center. So we're going to be talking about that, the heart mind, how we can tap into the heart mind to overcome the very successful mind control pandemic. Really, the pandemic is the pandemic of the controlled mind. That's what's really going on here. So, I mean, I can't talk openly on YouTube because of the Trusted News Initiative. If you don't know what that is, please Google it. Trusted News Initiative. The Trusted News Initiative is one arm of the reptilian propaganda control machine. Your information is being tightly controlled, and I am being controlled in terms of what I say and what I talk about. So first, let me be clear. What is a reptilian? I don't know what your understanding of a reptilian is, but I'm going to give you my definition, and that's what we're going to be using on this channel and in this video. A reptilian is a human being. It's not a hybrid. It's not anything else. A reptilian is a human being. All human beings evolved from reptiles. We have what's called the reptilian brainstem, which is our nervous system, and at the base of our brain is no different than the same kind of brain that is in a reptile. And it operates on fight or flight or fear, tend and befriend. Fight or flight is obvious. Either you fight it, you kill it, or you run from it, because if you're operating from that perspective, everything either wants to kill you or is food for you to kill and eat. If you are a reptilian, you are operating completely from needing to protect your territory. So you're trying to gain territory, protect your territory. You're very territorial. You're operating from fear all the time. Tend and befriend is an interesting way of just talking about somebody who doesn't have boundaries, a codependent. It is a defense mechanism. When you cannot fight your oppressor, then you seek to pacify them. And this is called tend and befriend. So people who are constantly trying to get other people's approval. I am not one of those people. I've got there's a couple of people that I'm in contact with who are friends of mine I've known for the majority of my life, who are completely, totally, their mind has been completely controlled and taken over by the reptilian propaganda machine. And they are completely hypnotized. And I do not mince words with them. I do not treat this, what is happening in the world, I do not treat it like choice of music. You know, you can't judge somebody for what they like in terms of, you know, the music that they listen to. You don't like it. You might think it's stupid. I think Madonna is vacuous and superficial. But somebody else likes Madonna, great, good for you. I have no problem with that. If religion, if you have a specific religion, that's your business, your choice. You go ahead and believe however you want to believe. But when it comes to the reptilian corporatocracy taking over the world, and it has done so. I was listening to some YouTube vlog. I think it was the Dark Horse podcast, I believe. And they were talking about turnkey communism or turnkey something like that. And they said that, you can spend years setting things up. If you want to take over the world, if you want to turn it into a fascist, domination, you can set things up without anybody knowing about what's going on. And then when you've got everything in place, then you just flip the switch. You just turn the key, and then boom, you're immediately into communist, control. And that's exactly what's happened. And it's the key has been fear and misinformation. So it's important that you understand how severe it has been. I didn't see it coming. And this has been going on for years, recently. The Trusted News Initiative is the final, ink on the paper of, taking over all of the information that comes to you. And it's been done so brilliantly because it wasn't done through military takeover. So normally when you hear the word state-run television, by the way, somebody commented on my channel because I had used the word state-run television, and at that time I was talking about Fox News, because before the election, Fox News was state-run television. And that's, if you're younger than me, then it doesn't have the same impact. But when somebody my age talks about state-run television, it's a very frightening thing, because that's what you have in communist countries. That's what you had in the Soviet Union. That's what you have in North Korea. That's what you have in China. You have television, which was, at one time, television was the way that everybody got their information. And so you had state-run television. So the stereotype of that is the North Korean woman dressed in North Korean clothes who's yelling at the screen, and she's telling you about the American menace that's coming to, she's just spouting complete, total lies. And that's state-run television. And so we look at that and we go, oh my God, that's not a free country. And we take pride. We say we live in this democracy where we don't have state-run television. And we had this. Those of you who, like me, believe that Biden is the worst president that's ever existed in the history of presidents. Many of those of you who believe that will be infuriated when I tell you that Trump is an absolute insane megalomaniac who had every intention of turning the United States presidency into his own tyrannical takeover of the constitutional governor of the United States. Having said that, I would take Trump over Biden any day at this point. I would welcome Trump. He's still better than Biden. So when I say that he used Fox News as state-run television, that is a very bad thing, because it was. When you wanted to hear propaganda from Trump, it would come through Fox News. And now you have the opposite. Now you have every other media outlet is being controlled by, well, is state-run television for Biden, who, in my opinion, is a puppet of the reptilian overlords. Unlike Trump, Trump couldn't be controlled. He could be manipulated, and he was. In fact, Trump, those of you who love Trump, and you, like me, you hate the jab, you hate the Cylon upgrade. Those of you like me who hate that, who believe that that is wrong for so many reasons we can't even mention. Trump is the one who got that started with Operation Warp Speed. So those of you who think that Trump is that, like me, you think Biden is a communist controller of the world, if your knee-jerk response is to say Trump is, good Trump, I mean, now that I'm in Florida, I see, pro-Trump everywhere I go. And I want to pull them aside and say, you realize that he's just the other side of that same thing you're trying to fight against. But they don't see that. We happen to agree on things like mandates and things like that. But that's just because we happen to be intersecting. So I see you both the same. I don't care if you're a Trump fan or if you are a liberal and you believe that Biden is a great president and all of that. You're equally being controlled by the reptilian horde who controls both sides of this argument. So I'm getting off on all kinds of tangents here, so let's get to the point. And it's because I'm so furious. I'm so furious about all this. And I'm frustrated, and I wish that I had a platform where I could speak uncensored to the world. I have to go to places that I'm glad exist, like Odyssey and BitChute, but I'm furious that I have to do it next to the white supremacists and just the idiot racists. That's I have to stoop that low to be able to talk uncensored. That the people who leave comments on those videos are a bunch of idiot racist morons. That there isn't a place for educated people who think critically, who can speak from science and speak from truth and speak from facts. There is no place where those people can just go and speak freely. It's a real tragedy because it muddies the whole argument. But let me get to the point here. So the point here is that the way that the reptilians have taken over the minds of all of the world is through the intellect. And so in order for us to overcome the intellect, we must be able to operate from the heart center, operate from the soul, what the Maoshan masters called the heart mind. The heart mind is a dangerous place as well, because it's easy to get trapped in your own emotions. So let's talk about the difference between the emotions, which is the mind. The word mind does not mean your intellect. It does not mean your brain. The majority of people, when they use the word mind, they're talking about your brain. Oh, he has a good mind. They're talking about the brain. The brain has a function, and ideally you want the mind and the intellect working together. But the intellect should serve the mind. The intellect should serve the emotions. The intellect should serve the sorry, I want to make sure I don't want to get distracted by people dropping comments. So bear in mind, those of you who are new to this channel, this is a question and answer. This is a classroom. You have walked into my classroom. I understand that YouTube wants you to just spout whatever's going on in your brain at any given moment, and you want to self-righteously indulge in spewing your opinion about something, whether you agree with me and you want to clap your hands and throw your opinion out, or if you want to disagree with me. I don't do that in my classroom. What I would like is questions and answers, and the way that you best interact with me is with an honest question. An honest question is you have a question about something that you think I have the answer to that you don't. If you have the answer to something that's not a question, I'm not interested in that. The other thing I want to hear from is your honest feelings. A feeling is I'm afraid, I'm angry, I'm happy, I'm confused. That's a feeling. I'm not going to judge you for any feeling that you have. You can have whatever feeling you want. That's the way I want to interact with you. So, I mean, I can see out of the corner of my eye that there are some chats being thrown in there, and they're probably people who are new to the channel who don't understand how I like to do things. I'm cranky today because I'm thinking about all this stuff. So this is not a good day to indulge in self-righteously throwing your opinion onto the chat and showing everybody what you think you know. I'm probably going to tear you a new one. Because we are talking today about what I think is probably the most important thing, which is knowing how to separate your intellect from your emotions. Because ironically, people who are controlled by their intellect are actually people who are operating from their emotions, but they're not aware of it. And so I tell my students a lot of times, get out of your head. Stop thinking so much. Because when you're afraid, you will use some type of self-defense mechanism to protect yourself from your feelings. And this is where the intellect comes in. People overthink. People who smoke a lot of weed are people who are afraid of their emotions. They get, you know, if you smoke a lot of weed and you think weed opens your mind, man, don't think I'm judging it. I smoked plenty of weed in my day. If you're somebody who thinks weed opens your mind, do this. Next time you're with your weed smoking buddies, don't smoke, or don't whatever it is you do. Let them get high and then sit and watch them. What will happen is they will start to become more and more intellectual, and they will go off on these really deep conversations that have zero meaning. They will think they are talking about something really powerful and amazing, and you will be wondering, what the hell are these people talking about? It's not that they're on some higher level. It's that they are so wrapped up in their intellect, they're so divorced from their emotions, that they're in this metaverse. Again, people who smoke a lot of weed are going to love the metaverse. They're in this metaverse that has no real connection to practical reality. And this is where the reptilians take over. They take over by taking over your intellect. When your intellect has been taken over, you are no longer able to think critically. You are no longer able to make sense. Let's see if I can give you an example of something that doesn't make sense, but your intellect tells you something else. The Omicron variant is a variant of concern. It's a variant of concern because it bypasses the vaccine. It bypasses your vaccine immunity. This is a variant of concern. And yet we are being told that the way to bolster your immunity is to take the vaccine that the Omicron variant has learned to get around. The intellect isn't working very well, in my opinion. That doesn't make sense. Why are we not saying the Omicron variant has much less impact in terms of symptoms? So then why are we closing down more? Why are we doing all of these things that we did in the beginning? It doesn't make sense. It seems like you're doing the opposite. You should be saying, oh, the Omicron variant is much less lethal. It's barely a cold. We can relax. We can take the masks off. We don't have to do any of the other stuff we've been doing. Now, finally, we've gotten control. The vaccine has forced the virus now to become much less lethal. Why isn't that what the CDC is saying? Why is nobody saying what seems to be obvious? Well, it's because their intellect has been taken over. And so it's extremely important that you be able to know what your emotions are without having your emotions drive you to make intellectual conclusions in order to make you feel safe. And this is what's happening here. So the way that we overcome that is by tapping into our heart. We have to use the power of the heart. And so that's what all of this stuff is here. We are using, it's more important than ever that we learn this technique, this lightning qigong. Because if you do not have the ability to tap directly into your soul and have your soul tell you the truth, if you don't have access to your emotional reality, if you're not able to know what your feelings are, to tolerate them, and then still take conscious choice, you will be manipulated. As many of you know, I have changed my viewpoint about current events 180 degrees. And that's because I'm a critical thinker. That's because I am able to the best of my ability, I am able to tolerate my negative feelings, and I'm still able to make observations and come to conclusions even if they personally make me uncomfortable, which is what happened. But for my friends who are still completely, totally taken over by the reptilian agenda, they're not able to do that. They're not able to acknowledge their emotions. In fact, one of my friends says, I just don't have a whole lot of, I really am not emotional about this. And I've chosen not to interact with him anymore because it's just a waste of time. But my response to him, if he were to ask, I would say, there comes a time when you're supposed to be emotional. If you're standing next to, say, a child is getting beaten, if you were to stand by and watch that and say, yeah, I just don't get emotional about these things, there's something wrong with you. There's a time to be emotional, to have strong emotions about what is happening. And for me to go out and to see, even in Florida, to see people doing things that I can't talk about, and acting in ways that are just absolutely ridiculous. It infuriates me. It infuriates me because I care about them. I'm okay. I know what's happening. I've got what I need to protect myself. I'm not worried for my safety, but I worry for other people's safety. And I worry when they are being manipulated, conned, and lied to, and they are being told to do very destructive, hurtful things, and out of fear and out of a lack of critical thinking, they do what they're told. And it infuriates me. It infuriates me that I'm not allowed to talk about it. I'm not allowed to go up and say to somebody, here, I've got a vitamin pill for you. Take that instead. Try that. It infuriates me that I can't do that. So, we are going to continue on this path, and I strongly encourage everybody to keep doing the 90-day challenge more than ever. I originally created the 90-day challenge. When you go to thunderwizard.com, click around, you see Warrior 90-day challenge, you listen to those videos. I created that to give people a method of direct connection to spirit power, to the power of their heart and the power of their soul. I created that for them so that they would have the ability to know where to go in life, to follow their true soul's desire and to overcome the challenges to their health, to their prosperity, to their happiness. But now more than ever, we need it in order to destroy and fight against reptilian oppression. Because if we do not meet this challenge, the world will go into another dark ages. We're already slipping into it. It's already happening. But if we don't face this challenge of fighting for the soul and learning to listen directly to the soul and do what the soul is telling us to do, as opposed to wanting to fit in, wanting to be accepted, wanting to be loved, wanting to keep your job, wanting to keep your marriage, wanting to, all that stuff. There's a reason I'm here. It's not because of the surfing, because the surfing is quite depressing here in Florida. I know once every 3 or 4 months or something, a good, what I would consider just a normal surfing day will show up here. So I did not come here for the waves. I came here to be free from certain oppressions and certain rules that I believe to be absolutely horrifically damaging and evil. But this is the test. The test on the human race is, will you listen to your soul, or will you do what is necessary to be accepted by the masses? And the masses can mean your wife. It can mean your parents. It can mean your friends. It can mean your employer. It can mean your government. It can mean your church. It can mean people who are close to you. This is the battle. The battle is, in the beginning when I created this, it was, you're going to have to choose between doing what your soul wants or fitting in with society. And that had to do with your career and what you did with your life. But now, you may have to face homelessness. But it's better to face homelessness and be healthy than to keep your job and have something really, really bad happen to you. So I'm in my new place. My new place is not set up well. My laptop is not plugged in, so I'm running out of battery. I'll take a few questions. I know I haven't said a whole hell of a lot or made a lot of sense. I just wanted to come and do a live stream because I haven't for a while. I've got to make a choice pretty quick. Am I going to stay here in Florida, or am I going to go to Costa Rica? I don't feel motivated to go to Costa Rica, except that I want to surf. But I don't want to do things like get on a plane and wear a mask and take tests. Morally, I'm against that. I'm against doing anything that supports the lie. And I feel it's important morally for me to support places that are going against the grain and allowing freedom. And so that's one of the reasons I'm here. But I'll be honest with you, even though I took a great hike this morning in some amazing, confusing, strange, wonderful primal forest, which they have out here, as much as I love that, This is not where I belong. But I don't know what's going to happen over the next 6 months. I want to sort of sit back and watch what happens in the world over the next 6 months, and maybe then I'll decide. But I don't know. I might have to just decide that surfing is more important to me, so I may have to go someplace else. In any case, I just got here. It's only been a week, so it's too early to say, but I'm just sharing that with you. So let's see if there's any questions here. Again, I want to avoid indulging in your opinions about anything. I'm too cranky for that right now. But let's see. Is there any questions here? Agent of the Universe question. I am unlikely to have access to something I can't talk about. Yes, that's not true. You are, well, maybe. I mean, you have a unique situation. So perhaps your parents won't allow you to get access to special vitamins that make you want to think of your friend Seabiscuit. Seabiscuit, there's some vitamins that Seabiscuit enjoys on a regular basis that is actually very healing. You may not have access to Seabiscuit vitamins. Do you know who Seabiscuit is? It's a horse. Will I be okay with? I can't say anything about that. There are other things. So, Agent of the Universe, you have to go to my other platforms, and I have links that I can't show here. You have to go to those links and find out what vitamins and what supplements to take. Okay, so you can't ask me those kinds of questions here. I can't answer them. I'm sorry. The Trusted News Initiative will not allow me to do that. Zarelath had to quit his job. I'm sorry you had to do that. But if you did that in order to preserve your health and your integrity, there's nothing more valuable than that. If you've given up your integrity, what's left? You know, and I know some of you didn't know any better. I almost took this Cylon upgrade myself. Partly because I didn't know any better, and partly because I wanted to fit in. I mean, I have the same feelings that everybody else has. And when I did just a tiny bit of research into the safety of the Cylon upgrade, I went, holy crap, I don't want anything to do with that. And when I found out that the Seabiscuit vitamins actually can prevent all kinds of illnesses, I thought, well, holy crap, I'm going to do that before. I mean, sorry, I'm reading and talking at the same time. I'm going to do that. That's what I said. Agent of the Universe, honest feeling. I'm not going to repeat that. That's not a feeling. Feeling is I'm afraid, I'm angry, I'm happy, not I want such and such. And by the way, were you not listening to me? So bear in mind, Agent of the Universe, I know that you have a mindset, very serious mindset that creates a mindset where you deal with dualities. And you get very self-righteous about it. It's ironic that I'm talking that way as I'm feeling self-righteous. But Trump is an absolute, insane, power-driven maniac. What you're feeling is you know, there's communism and then there's fascism. And they are both the same side of the same coin. And opting for fascism over communism is not a good option. Just like opting for communism over fascism. So what you're saying is you want a fascist takeover. And that means you've been manipulated by the reptilians. Because the reptilians want you to be in the space where you choose one or the other. And the space is to be in the middle. And that's why you're never going to fit me in any kind of either one of them. Trump was horrifically dangerous, even though he's not as bad as Biden. He was horrifically dangerous. And he led us into this. So I'm not going to let you get away with that. Biden, however, is a complete, total puppet of the reptilian horde. And he manifests that with this communist control, this lack of individuality, lack of freedom, complete, total government takeover of everything. That's corporatocracy communism. But Trump would have, if he were allowed, he would have done the same thing, but he would have done it through fascism. So wake up. I appreciate your feeling, but your feeling is, I'm scared, not I want to do this. My feeling is, I want to do this. That's not a feeling. You've now made a decision. Stay in the feeling, which is fear, anger, happiness, joy, something like that. But you should not trust either of them. This is, again, the manipulation is trying to push you to choose. You have to pick one or the other. And there's the danger, because it won't matter which one you pick. If Trump had been reelected, trust me, we'd be in the same position. There would be something else going on, but we would be in the same position that we're in now. Make no mistake about it. What else? Agent of the universe. Yeah, that's not a feeling or a question. Zeralath says, Trump also revamped the entire medical system before 2020 in the federal government for this event. He was obeying Fauci privately. Look, who do you think was advising Trump on Operation Warp Speed? It was Fauci. There's no difference, guys. There's no difference between the two. You've either got state-run media. By the way, there are things about Fox News now that I like, of course, because it's politically expedient for them to talk about freedom in ways that help me. But they're not telling the truth. They're not coming out and telling you what the cure is for the reptilian plague. They could. DeSantis could do it. Ron Paul could stand up and do it. Neither of them are doing it. So if you think that somehow the Republicans are the good guys and the communists, the Democrats are the bad guys, then you're being manipulated by your emotions. They will either get to you by your fear or your greed or both. Don't let them do that. The truth is in the middle. And trust me, the Republicans hate the middle more than they hate the Democrats. They love Democrats because then they can say, the Democrats, the liberals. But it's the people in the middle, people with critical thinking, the people that don't bend to either one, either fascism or communism. It's the people in the middle that are the biggest threat. And that's your heart. The heart is in the middle of the body here. You've got a right side and a left side. Or a right side and a left side. Your heart is in the middle. Stay there. Architect question, would it be a form of victimhood mentality to know that we are being deceived by our political leaders? No. Again, I want to caution people for not understanding. There are certain phrases in the English language which are good phrases. I'm going to have to get off soon because I'm down to 11%. But some of you are my apprentices, and so don't take this personally, but there is nothing wrong with the phrase conspiracy theory. It is a perfectly good English phrase. You should not be afraid of the word conspiracy. A conspiracy is when more than one people get together to try and do something to somebody else. It could be a good thing. My wife and my sister conspired to throw me a surprise birthday party. That's a good conspiracy. A conspiracy theory is somebody who says, I think that people are conspiring against me and I have this evidence that's proving it. That is my theory. There's nothing wrong with being a conspiracy theorist, especially if you can prove it. But a victim mentality is when you seek out a conspiracy that doesn't exist, that you can't prove. And that's the problem, is that unfortunately a broken clock is right twice a day. And there are people who were conspiracy theorists before, who were operating from a combination of their instinct as well as their own fear-based mentality. And they're coming up with crazy nonsense like, the world is flat, stupid nonsense like that. They're out to get us. They're telling us the world is flat. Their instinct is telling them that there's somebody out there trying to manipulate us. But I don't know what it is. I'm not educated enough to know what it is. So they're telling us the world is flat. Again, my computer's going to die here. I've got 7% left. Do I believe QAnon a dangerous cult? Yes. Again, a broken clock is right twice a day. They've got some of the truth, but not all of it. What else? Feeling. So Marcia, go ahead and write the word honest feeling in all caps. That way I can see it. That's not a feeling. You're about to launch into your opinion. An opinion is not a feeling. It's important you learn that. When you have an opinion, you've made, you've come to a conclusion. So talking about every president, blah, 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 is not a feeling. I feel that person is stupid. That's not a feeling. I'm afraid, I'm angry, I'm happy, I'm sad. Stay neutral. I will share those, but that's not a feeling, that's an opinion. All right. All right, so I'm running out of battery, so I got to go. So anyway, I just thought I'd make an appearance here, guys. My thanks to vincent.thunderwizard.com. You can go to his website if you want to get an astrological reading. But yeah, that's all. I just wanted to check in with you, vent. It's good for me to vent. So I'm venting some of my frustration about all of this. And I want to go to war. I'm ready to go to war. I'm going to do whatever the hell I can to fight against oppression. Our soul needs it. All right. That's it for me, guys. So I am going to see you guys later because I'm running out of battery. I don't know how much I got left. I'm going to lose my computer here in a second. Anyway, scroll up to the beginning of the chat to see where my other platforms are where I can speak uncensored. If you're interested in fighting the reptilians and supporting the channel, all of these links are here. And I am now encouraging you to do it. Step up and join the army. And do these practices. Because when you do these practices that you see here, you are making an impact. And those of us who are empowered, it's us doing the work and holding on to our integrity and sending this energy out. Those of us who do that are going to have an effect in winning this war that we are in. All right, guys, I will talk to you soon. Take care of yourselves.